Join. Are we?
Yeah, we are live. Yeah, I told you I'm gonna go and do a promo on Instagram, bro.
Mate, I've been trying to join you for ages.
Yeah, I told you I'm doing the promo on Instagram, man. We gotta let people know the most amazing podcast is about to begin, bro. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Hey, it's
And
too
without
hot,
me.
man. Hey, listen, there's no way we're starting without you. We've just literally I accepted you and pressed live at the same time. Um,
Amazing.
but yeah, man, hey, it's too hot, man.
I don't know what's going on. I'm just I don't know what to expect anymore.
I know, I know. Right, let's do our intro. Welcome, everybody. Hello again. Happy Saturday. Welcome to the Day One Mentality podcast, where we talk about the number one thing that has the ability to make or break your dream, your mentality. This is episode 20. My name is D. I'm a pilot. His name is Mo. He's a fitness coach, the steady athlete. Episode 20, and we're going to be talking about bouncing back from success. Mo, how's it going, man? Hey, look, my glasses are fogging up. That's
Are you
how,
serious? No
listen, with
way.
these lights, whew,
Open a
bro,
window, bro.
the window's open, my guy. The
No
window
way.
is open. It is way too warm. I just need aircon in my room. That's what I need. But apart from the blazing heat and the lovely sunshine, how you doing, bro?
Yeah. Very well, thank you. Very well. I was looking forward for the weekend.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. I needed it, but it's just, man. I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore. One week is cloudy, rainy, and really cold, and the next one is just so hot. It's just incredible.
Yeah, just 2 weeks ago, I was wearing my coat or my leather
Hmm.
jacket. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy, but hey, there's no point complaining about it. Might as well just use it somehow.
Definitely,
I don't know how,
definitely.
but yeah, we'll figure it out. Yeah, man. But yeah, the week's been good my side, man. It's been very busy, but fairly productive. So I'm grateful for that. There's
Any
always more to
flying?
do. No flying over the last week. The thing is, I'm trying to slow down how much flying I do.
Hmm.
Partly because last month I spent a lot of time flying, and now I've got the invoice for all that flying I did. So
Hmm.
yeah, my bank account's crying. Um, yeah, so at the moment I need to slow down how much flying I'm doing, but also I'm looking to apply. So there's a few airlines that have got some what you call it sponsored schemes that you can apply for, and one of them has a limit of 100 hours, and at the
Hmm.
moment I'm at 91 hours and 14 minutes. So
See.
if I keep on flying like I was, then by the time like the application's open again, I'll probably be at like 110 120 hours. So yeah, I'm having
See.
to slow down a little bit just to make sure I'm still eligible. So yeah, so no
Do you
flying at the moment.
do you find it
Oh,
difficult
I
to?
lied. I lied. I lied. I did fly last week.
I
That's
know.
true. Bro, why am I lying for? I just got
I
caught
don't
in a
know.
lie.
Wasn't it Sunday?
It was a
Yeah.
Sunday. You're right. See, it seems so distant. But yeah, no. For the first time, I took out Ayla on Abby out on a flight.
Mm.
So yeah, so that was the first time that she's actually flown with me. Um, I don't know if she got scared or from my flying, or if she was impressed. Time will tell.
Why
Time will tell.
you haven't
Uh,
heard from her? You haven't heard back from her?
since
Blocks you.
yeah, so yeah, no, what I am doing is I am flying like probably there's a few weeks gap, but I'm reducing the length of time that I'm flying. So last week I was just doing circuits just to keep myself fresh. And so yeah,
Hmm.
Abby joined me for that flight, and yeah, I've got it all filmed, and she made a face, right at the end when we landed. She was like, and I was like, yo, like, did you not believe I was going to land the plane, or like did I What's
I
happening?
can imagine
Anyway,
her. I can imagine her before going flying with you, Mom. If anything happens, I love
bro,
you. Yeah.
do you know what?
They-
Funny enough, she was in contact with her mum the whole time. So, so you're probably right. But yeah, hopefully Abby joins this episode and drops it in the chat if she was actually impressed with my flying or whether she was just scared out of her wits. Um, but yeah, nah, it was a good time. But yeah, so I'm doing shorter flights at the moment and trying to spread them out so I don't go over the
Mhm,
100-hour mark. But yeah, it was good. But it seems like a long time away. Of
mhm.
course, big thing from last week, Sunday, winners of the Euro.
Yeah, I'm not
I'm very
surprised.
I'm disappointed.
Spain. I
Yeah,
think
very disappointed.
I think it was the D1M Spanish T-shirt that I made that gave Spain lucky. Um, so yeah, if you guys are wondering what we're talking about, just go back and watch the special England v Spain.
Yeah, we did a special episode last week, and this guy was wearing what top were you wearing from Vietnam?
Vienna.
And he put a Spanish printed out and put a Spanish badge on it. So yeah, somehow that worked for you guys. Shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to everyone passing through. Aaron, thank you. The cameras are looking crisp. Do you know what I think it is? I think it's just the internet. I think my internet speeds are a lot faster this week for whatever reason,
Hmm.
and it just makes it come across really crisp. And when
Hmm.
the internet is a bit crappy, it makes the cameras look so trash. So yeah, I noticed that as well. So thank you for letting us know. Hello, 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 hello. Shout out to
We're
people.
looking young
You,
now, huh?
huh?
We're looking young, HD.
Yeah, 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 yeah. I'm getting a comment that's saying you gay. So yeah, gay meaning happy. Yeah, I'm very happy, man. Absolutely, we're very, very excited about talking about this mindset. You will get blocked on the chat. So where are you? Let me find the block button. Where's the block button? Because I'm gonna block. Uh,
While you're doing that, let's start with the minor topics. Let's start with Dream Workshop.
yeah. Oh,
The
actually, I was gonna speak to you about something. I was gonna say, how about we make it slightly longer today? How about we don't have a time limit? What do you think about
we could try. We could try. We could try.
that? Yeah. See how it goes.
Hmm.
All right. Let's kick it off.
So Dream Workshop, an opportunity for D right now to put forward a goal that he has in mind, and
Mhm.
I will be able to challenge him by questioning, and maybe you guys as well. You can ask some questions. So D,
Oh yeah.
what's the dream work? What's the goal? Yeah, that you're gonna be putting forward.
What's the goal? I'm gonna say providing the scholarships. I think that's a priority and something I want to talk about.
Okay.
Bro, it's so hot, man.
It is. It is. It is.
Whew. Yeah,
So,
go on.
what have you learned so far from providing the scholarships?
What have I learned so far?
What have you learned so far?
Multiple things.
Hmm.
So, what I did was I put out this kind of interest form for people to respond and kind of say what they're interested in. And one of the things that I have found from that, I've had a decent amount of response. If you are interested, by the way, in registering your interest for the Future Pilot 901 scholarships, go to futurepilot901.com/scholarships. Having said that, people are really interested in getting the funds for equipment, which I've heard like some of the scholarships don't necessarily include that.
Hmm.
So yeah, so that could be an area that is quite interesting because that's what one of the things I said, which was, you can use it for flying or for ordering essential equipment. But I'm thinking about potentially having a maximum percentage. So, for example, you can use up to maybe 50% or up to 40% of the scholarship amount, which is £1,000. You can use the 50% of that for equipment, and 50% has to be for flying. So I'm kind of still making that decision there. But yeah, it's been interesting to see that people are actually interested in getting the scholarship to get equipment.
Nice. How much is the equipment worth?
It depends. So the textbooks, for example, for the private license, the textbooks are around about 100 and some. You will get the full set of textbooks. Headsets, you're probably looking at from 150, 130-ish going upwards for the cheapest decent headset. Although, yeah, how essential that is questionable. But yeah, although flight schools sometimes have them, you can borrow them. Flight schools sometimes don't have them. What else you need? Other bits of equipment, you're probably looking at about in total, about £400 worth of equipment if you had nothing.
Yeah.
Again, there's always obviously levels of quality, but just for you to get a good base, you're looking at definitely about £400 if you started with nothing.
Do you know anyone who has provided a scholarship for other people?
Yeah, I got a scholarship myself, so I've been through that process. I also am aware of other people who provide scholarships and other scholarship winners who I've kind of spoken to and found out a bit about their experience, what the application process was like, or what they won, and how that was kind of dealt with. So yeah, I've done a little bit of research on that side.
Nice. And my last question is, what do you remember that you needed the most when you were starting as a student pilot?
It depends. If you ask that as an open question, I think my answer won't surprise you, unless you ask me to answer that in a specific category. If you ask me what did I need the most as a student pilot, I would say information. Number one. And in particular, the kind of information that gives me faith and belief and mindset. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to start this, and one of the reasons why whenever I'm kind of mentoring or helping other student pilots, I would mention this podcast, because you can have all sorts of opportunities in front of you. Like we've said before, you can have the money, you can have all of that, but if you don't believe, you will never make it. Because at the end of the day, you're going to face multiple challenges along the way. You're going to face really tough challenges, whether it's with getting the money for flying, whether it's sorting out your medical for flying, whether it's getting to the airfield where you fly, whether it's dealing with your flight instructor because it's not a great relationship, or whether it's trouble with your flight school. Whatever it is, you're going to have challenges along the way. And if you don't develop the mindset to know how to see those challenges and then to overcome them, it doesn't matter what opportunities are in front of you, you won't make it. So for me, I'd say I needed the mindset development more than anything else.
And are you going to provide that?
Great question. So I have, and this is why I wanted to talk about it. There's a few other things that I thought, how could I bring that in? The truth is, people that apply are going to be at different levels and they're going to need different things. So I think it's about assessing each person based on where they are. But One of the eligibility criteria I've been thinking about, and you guys can let me know what you make of it in the chat or in the comments, is for them to have attended at least a couple of episodes, at least 1 or 2 episodes of this podcast to make themselves eligible. Because what I don't want to do is support people who are not willing to work on their mindset, people who just want help with achieving their dreams, but not really taking the time to focus on developing themselves and their mindset. So that's one of the reasons why I thought about that eligibility criteria. But it's the jury's still out. I'm still in the process, probably over the next week, going to be creating the actual application form for the scholarship. So yeah, I'm open to thoughts. I'm open to ideas. So drop it in the comments, drop it in the chat. Let me know what you think and what you make of that.
Exciting. Yeah, definitely. If you are a future pilot, if you are a student pilot, drop in some ideas for future pilot here.
Brilliant.
That's one thing.
All right, switch it up. You ready?
Yeah. My one is gonna be my dream workshop that I'm putting forward is activities in primary and secondary schools as an after school club.
Okay. Super. I'm glad you brought that up because there's some questions I've been dying to ask you.
Actually, let me tell you this.
Bro, there's some questions I've been dying to ask you. 1 second.
No way. You have a whole list?
I have a whole scroll. Now, so okay, cool. Let's talk about Active Kids as after school. So, where are you now? That's the first question. Where are you now with that?
I am nowhere, to be honest. I have been focusing on activities for during the summer.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not nowhere, but it's not. I'm not in a position of saying I'm in contact with the school.
Okay. So what's your plan?
I would do the hard things, which is knocking on doors. Not literally, but like sending emails. And I've been in contact with different after school club sites, and I would hope that they could give me an advice in a way of like how to get into those schools as well. That's what I have so far.
Okay. What have you changed in all the times that we've discussed this project, Active Kids in general, not just the after school, but it kind of is related. You've had some ideas thrown at you. Which ideas have you applied? How have you applied them?
So you gave me an idea of including a bouncy castle. You gave me that idea, and or something similar, and I have been looking into it. The thing is, I don't have kids signed up for the event yet or for the camp yet, so I kind of find it difficult to like make a whole program if I don't have the kids, the amount of children that I'm gonna have. But what is different is the flyers are done. I'm gonna be handing out to the kids I know and the parents, and hopefully from there it will be a bunch of thousands of children signing up.
Okay.
Mhm.
So, who are you consulting?
What do you mean?
Have you run a project before?
Not like this.
Okay.
Not like this by myself, no.
Right. So, who are you consulting? Otherwise, or is that even important? Because it seems to me like one of the things that experience does is experience success leaves crumbs, and experience people who experience can kind of give you ways of saving time, because they tell you what, where you can put your energy more and get better outcomes, versus you kind of maybe spending a lot of energy on things that are not going to be as significant,
Mm-hmm.
right? And they can kind of just help you, save you some time of experimenting. So who are you consulting, or do you even think it's important for you to consult with other people? Like, who's part of your team?
Yeah, so I did contact these after school clubs that have more experience, and they gave me advice of like, from my experience, this helped me, so try this. Or they gave me their number and said, if you need any advice, contact me. So that that will be really really helpful for active kids as an after school
Okay.
club.
What? Okay. Okay. Are you not able to tell what advice that is?
No, because one of them, they said, I'm gonna put you in contact with the head teacher, for example. Um, but not a specific advice. You know what I mean?
Okay. So let me tell you some of the. Okay, I'll tell you what I think just to wrap up this section. But so one, where is your audience and how do you reach them? That's the first question. I've asked you this before.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the places that there are is on Google. Do you have a
Yeah.
Google business?
Yeah, it's done.
It's done.
Yeah.
Perfect. So activity kids comes up, should come up when people search activities in that area. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Good. Do you have reviews?
No reviews yet. No.
Okay. So that's the next priority, getting reviews on there, right? Follow up people who've been before, or, make it a part of new people who sign up,
Mm-hmm.
that maybe they get a discount or whatever when they leave a review or something, or, once they leave a review, the next one is discounted or whatever it is. Now, this thing about the bouncy castle, think of it more as a marketing event, right? Don't think that's going to happen every day that you do the project. Think
Mm-hmm.
about it more like on day one, and you have to choose what day that day one is, where it's like you can just literally do it for free. What kids are going to be walking around in a park and see a bouncy castle and not have to go for it?
Mm-hmm.
But then right there and then, what you can do is you can have your little football area, like here they go bouncy castle, they come out, okay, they do this little football drill exercise, and you got the sign-ups ready to go. The parents can just go, okay, sign up here, here's the name, telephone number, email address. Kai gave you the idea of building a mailing list.
Mm-hmm.
Have you started putting together a mailing list?
No, I forgot about that one. Thank you.
That's fine. That's why we're here. So mailing list. So that will give you, again, you give them something free, you interact with them, you let them have fun. They go on the bouncy castle, they do the football, they do this. And obviously with these businesses, you can kind of, make it so that it's promotion for them as well. Mutually beneficial. And then as they kind of finish doing this fun activities, oh, you kids, like, again, because it was something fun, they're going to want to join in. Did you enjoy it? Okay, cool. Would you like to come back? Okay, cool. Like, get the parents to put their name down, their phone number down, their email down, tell them you let them know, when it's going to run next.
Hmm.
Boom. Now you've got email addresses, you got phone numbers, you got new people to reach, So yeah, that's just the thought.
I like that one. I like
Yeah.
it. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, bro. And again, this is all about kind of supporting each other to achieve our goals and to reach our dreams. So anyone in the chat's got some ideas, or if you hear something that's useful to you, take it, use it, run with it. And yeah, drop it in the chat, drop it in the comments. Let's support each other and let's rise together. Next section.
Accountability time.
Oh,
What
yeah.
is something? I have a question for you, G,
Go on.
and for the people in the chat, and for myself,
Tom.
and for this thing over here. What is something
That's not a thing. How dare you?
for
So rude,
this
bro.
beautiful thing over here? Listen, what is something you should have been doing that you haven't been doing?
Good question. Confession time. So last week I said bedtime routine.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say the same this week, even though I have made improvements, but I'm not there yet. Yeah, I'm not there yet. Although I'm looking forward to the next week because schools are going to be shut, which means I can be more flexible with my working time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm really motivated by starting work early so I can finish work early and get back home to like do all my other stuff, all the other projects I do for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to, if I can start work early and finish work early, then I'll have more time to do editing, scholarship work, and all that kind of stuff, which then means I can get to bed earlier, because getting to bed
Mm-hmm.
early is the problem because I'm trying to squeeze in more work than I have time. But if I can work earlier and be more flexible that way, it will help. So yeah, getting the bedtime routine right. And I think over the next 6 to 7 weeks, it will be easier, but I'll tell you about that next week. But I'm going to put that straight back at you. What is it that you should have been doing this week, but you didn't do it?
I'm gonna say, believe it or not, working out. Even the steady athletes can lack in that aspect. I have been working out, but it wasn't as organized and as, how do you say, it wasn't with the real purpose
Mhm.
this week, and I need to get back into that.
Mhm. I hear you,
And
bro.
yeah, in a way of like not just working out because, but like with the purpose of like, I'm gonna do, so this plan I'm gonna organize it to improve this specific skill, or like I'm gonna
Mhm.
continue building muscle, so working for it, or I'm gonna focus a little bit more on my technique.
Mhm.
So yeah, that.
Mhm. Fair, man. Fair.
Hmm.
I tell you what, though, one interesting thing is, so I attended this neurodiversity course, right? Um, and I found it really interesting. So they mentioned like different kind of neurodiverse conditions like ADHD, dyslexia, autism, and all that kind of stuff. Anyways,
Hmm.
I was inspired by that, by something so simple that actually made me so much more productive. And I find like sometimes I'm in a different season where I need to work slightly differently. And now I feel like I've got one more tool in my toolbox, and it sounds so silly, but do you want me to tell you what it is?
Tell me.
So what I do is, as you can imagine, my to-do lists are like, I've literally got like to-do
Endless.
lists that never end. I've got list like items from like 2 years ago, right? Which I've now started doing. I've restarted the Future Pilot 901 season 2 episode. Anyhow, what I've then now started doing is I would write my goal down, or write down my whole to-do list, right?
Hmm.
So I've got one, I usually write it from the bottom, right? You can write it anyhow you want, but I write it from the bottom. 1, 2, 3, 4 to-do list, yeah? Then I cover it up and I only look at the one thing that I've got to do. And
Mm.
then once I finish that, I cross it off. I move the paper, like the paper on top, I move it up to reveal the next goal. And then I cross that
I
off and I
see.
move it up to reveal the next goal. And I cross that off and I move it up to reveal the next goal. So, because the thing is, I can't not write down what I've got to do. Otherwise, I will
Hmm.
forget and it will just get lost. There's just too much to do. It has to be written down. But when it's written down, there's just too much where I then end up bouncing around from
Hmm.
different things. But
Hmm.
when I really like cover everything up apart from the one I'm focusing on, I found that that's just given me a bit of mental focus.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a trick I'm using at the moment. That's really useful.
Nice. It reminds me to to this thing that I built as well,
Yeah, yeah.
which is basically all the goals that I have to complete during the
Nice,
week, and
nice.
then I organize them in like the most important one up to the
Yeah,
most
that's really
important one,
good.
and it's really helpful, to be honest.
Nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really good, man. But yeah, it's about finding all these tools that can help you be more productive. And sometimes I
Mm.
find, as I said, different times I need different tools, and that's all right.
Yeah. Really.
All right, man. Well, let's get down to the main part of our conversation. Now, actually, before we do, it's been bugging me what you said last week.
What was that?
Life is not a race, life is not a competition. You brought
Let's
up a
see.
quote. Can you please help me understand why somebody would ever say something like that? I'm
Yeah.
going to try. I mean, I've got arguments ready to go, but I'm going to try and practice more listening and less talking and give it a fair chance, because to me, it just seems totally wrong. But
Okay.
let me listen first. So,
Hmm.
obviously, you quoted somebody.
Hmm.
What did they mean by that quote, as far as you can tell?
Yeah. So I don't know exactly what they meant by that, but I can tell you what I what it means to me.
Okay.
And you can see it in different ways. You can compete against other people, you can compete against yourself, or you can actually see life as a race. Um see it the way you want, but at the end of the day, we are never the same people, because me, for example, before I started this life with you, we have shared so much advice, conversation, tips, that my mindset is slightly different. So I cannot say that I am the same person as 30 minutes before, exactly the same person with the same mindset. Um, you can say that, yeah, it might be right. Um, but then it's a way of like experiencing the journey that you're having, instead of like seeing like, oof, I need to finish this, otherwise I'm not going to be successful, or uh, instead of like rushing to the process. Because I do feel that a good um, a good change takes time. And something drastically like this is usually quite shocking for our mind and body. And one last thing will be, if you comparing yourself to other people all the time, you you're gonna be losing the focus on what you need to improve in there, and seeing what you need to do to become better for yourself. I mentioned it. I mentioned a few things over there. T. I made it. I don't know, a bit confusing.
Yeah, no, about it's about me trying to grasp. Even though you mentioned a few things, it's about trying to get the main points of what you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
So life is not a race,
Mm-hmm.
so you don't need to rush through it. You don't need to have this anxiety and this rush so much so that you miss the process
Mm-hmm.
and you lose the quality of the process.
Yeah.
Life is not a competition, because if you see it as a competition, then you could be focused on other people and not realize what you need to do to improve.
Mm-hmm.
Is that fair? Does that seem correct so far?
Yeah.
Okay. I think where I struggle with that idea is that I don't see it as balanced.
Mm-hmm.
Because, yeah, I don't see it as balanced. I think that it's true. Everything that said is true, but it's not the full picture.
Okay.
Because I would say, and I think that's what I look for when I listen to theories and I listen to philosophies. I think, okay, does this philosophy kind of look at all realities, or does it just focus on one reality? Because life is a race. As far as I'm concerned, life is a race. What is a race? There's a starting point. There's an end point. You were born. You're going to die. We all know that. We have a certain amount. How much time? Nobody knows. But it's a certain amount. And the truth is, if you don't fit in what you want to do in your life within that time frame, your opportunity is gone. Secondly, the strength that you have at 20, 25 is different. You're not going to be as strong at 60. So there's some things that you can do now that you can't do later. There are some opportunities that exist now that will not exist later. And this is a reality, especially, for example, for women, right? Past the age of 35, it's considered a geriatric pregnancy. There are more health complications after 35. On average, doesn't mean that every woman is going to have issues, of course, but generally, you're more likely to have issues. So the other side of it could be that you relax so much that you don't actually get what you wanted to get out of life. And so there's a balance between the two. And I'll tell you what the balance is. But first, I'll tell you the story of the tortoise and the hare. Do you know the story of the tortoise and the hare?
Please refresh that for me.
Of course. So the tortoise and the hare decide that they're going to race. Obviously, I'm going to butcher the story because I haven't been in nursery since like 30 something years now. But the tortoise and the hare decide they're going to, have this race. All right, cool. The hare is like, I'm going to win. I'm faster than you, blah, blah, blah. The tortoise is like, I'm going to win. because the tortoises are slow. Anyways, they begin this race. Now their hair goes pew. And then the hare notices, oh, look, I'm so far ahead. Where's the tortoise? Nowhere to be seen. All right,
Mm-hmm.
I'll just have a bit of a nap. Like, I'm winning this. The tortoise just continues steadily, consistently, steadily through the race. Tortoise catches up to the hare. Oh, look at the hare resting, sleeping. No worries. Continues. Anyways, the tortoise goes ahead, goes past the hare. The hare then wakes up and realizes, oh man, I need to catch up. Got up. But by the time he reaches the end, the tortoise has already finished.
Mm-hmm.
Life is a race. But here's the thing, here's the balance. Life is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Right? And so steady, consistent over time wins. Because life is not a sprint, but it's still a race. It's a marathon, you know? So for me, it's like there's a balance there because what you have now, you won't always have. And when you're young, it's very easy to not realize that because you always think you're going to be that strong. You always think you're going to have those opportunities. You always think you're going to be that cute, right? You always think, yeah, like, look how cute I am. I'm always going to be like this. Yeah, give it 10 years, give it 20 years. You lose your flexibility. If you don't work on it, you lose your strength. It takes more hard work to be as strong at 40 than you were at 20. At 20 is natural. You don't have to work that hard. But at 40, so yeah, for me, it's hard to not see life as a race, but I can accept that it's a marathon. What do you think of that?
I do like the analogy you gave, and my question is, what is your end goal then? Because in the analogy, there is a winner and a loser in
Correct.
a in the race.
Correct.
But then in life, what is a winner and what is a loser? What will be a winner future pilot in 30 years, and what would be a loser future pilot in 30 years?
Great question. So the first sentence that I was totally in a disagreement about was that life is not a race. The second statement was that life is not a competition. And I totally get it. And I think I mentioned that last week. But life is a competition, right? And you're right. There's ways you can compete with yourself, you know. But the truth is, it's also an external competition, right? Now, let me answer your question more directly. What is winning for me? Winning for me is maximizing my potential. That's winning. And this is what makes me less regretful because I know that I'm at the peak of what I can do. You know, when I think back to the last year and I'm like 90 credits of my bachelor's degree, at the same time working full time, at the same time looking for a new job, at the same time getting my license and flying, at the same time doing filmmaking and improving, at the same time like starting this podcast, I go, wait, how, what? Like literally my brain didn't even think that was possible. Like there was so many times in between I was just thinking, okay, cool. Like as soon as I fail one like assignment, I'm just gonna like take a study break, like because that's going to be the proof that I'm doing too much. I'm doing a lot more than I'm capable of managing. But I didn't. I kept on passing them, so I was like, okay, I'll keep going. And so in a sense, I then feel that I'm maximized, and that's the win for me. The loss would be for me to look back and be like, oh man, like, which is what happened to me in 2019 because I looked back and I was like, oh man, I had the 2 jobs, I had the extra money left over, but I didn't go for my dream. What did
Hmm.
I do with that money? I can't even remember. I wasted that much. What did I even do with that time? Oh yeah, I remember, like, and people say this all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I remember, like, I had all that time before I got the full-time job. I had all that time. Like, what did I even do with it? I don't remember. I don't remember. That's a loss, because that means you were below your potential, and you're the judge of that. Because nobody can judge your effort. You can judge your effort because you know, you have a better idea of what you're capable of. So that would be a
I've,
loss for me. Now, I'll let you say what you're saying. Go for it.
yeah, I have something to say there, because was it a loss because that person didn't wasn't in their full potential, or was it a win because thanks to that experience, now they're able to realize what their full potential is?
Yeah, it's a great question. I like that. That's a very
And
sophisticated question. I like it.
and and I would I was asking, what would be winning for you, in what will be a winner, the future pilot in 30 years, and what will be a loser, future pilot in 30 years. Imagine you had to write down, well, exactly what you want for you in 30 years, but it ends up that you're not able to reach it. Would that make you a loser?
No.
Definitely not. And continue with the marathon, for example. For me, imagine I will only be proud to myself if I end up first. For someone else, might be I will be really proud if I'm able to finish the race. For someone else, would be I will be really proud if I can run a race with my friend next to me. So I see it in a way of like, you can be racing in a marathon, or you can be just enjoying the marathon to the goal that you set up to yourself.
Okay, here's a bit of lateral thinking for you. Everybody can be first. My mentor used to say this. Everyone was born to lead.
Hmm.
Now, the next thing he would say is that causes a problem, right? Because if everyone's leading, who's following?
Hmm.
Right? Which is a
Yeah.
zero sums mentality. It's not an abundance mindset.
Hmm.
But everyone is born to lead. Now, here's the important part, in their area of gifting.
Hmm.
Do you know when you become first? When you go in a direction that nobody has gone before. You are unique, you're different. Nobody has the combination of skills, of passions, of life experiences, of tools, of time, of interests that you have. It's a
Hmm.
unique combination. And the problem is when you try to fit in with everybody, because if I try to be Cristiano Ronaldo, I will always be second Cristiano Ronaldo.
Hmm.
But if I try to be me, I will always be first at being me. Ain't nobody can
Hmm.
be me better than me. You better believe that. Right? And so, and this is why I say winning for me is about fulfilling my potential, because my potential is that which is fully me.
Hmm.
I'm not being somebody else. I have interest in filmmaking, but I also have interest in being a pilot, and I can sing and I can dance and I can do various other things.
Prove it.
And I love to teach. So it's like, I'm just more interested in being more of myself, a better refined version of myself. And if I can do that, then I'm winning. And if I can do that, then I am first. But as long as I try to run in other people's lanes, and this is what makes like achieving your goals very challenging, right? Because when I was in my car, sleeping in my car, I don't know anybody else that did that. Like, oh, okay, I know other people that slept in their vans, but I don't know somebody who's specifically in like a similar situation to me and was trying to become a pilot that did that. I I,
Mm.
I, I didn't know anybody who was doing that. I don't know anybody who was doing that who wants to then a year after getting their pilot's license give out scholarships. I don't know that. I don't have that template.
Yeah.
Who then wants to own an airline in the future? Like I don't have that template. Do you see what I'm saying? And that's
Yeah.
why whenever I go places, the way that I compete with people is by demonstrating my uniqueness. That's how I compete with people. By showing
Mm.
them that like you can never be me. Like you be yourself. And when you're yourself, you shine so brightly, you inspire me. But you better know I am me and I'm not going to force myself into trying to be like you.
Mm.
Like I'm going to be productive how I'm productive and that will make me stand out. Do you see
Mm.
what I'm saying? And the truth is, and this is why I say like life is a competition. Life is a competition. People will choose to either come to Activity Kids or to go swimming or to go somewhere else. So you're competing for their attention. Now, but like I said, there's a balance to it, right? Because you can't then get sucked into that where you're like, oh, no, and you focus so much on other people. But you also need to know what other people are doing and what your uniqueness is. Because whenever you're offering somebody something of value, they're going to want to know, like, what makes this more valuable than any other thing I could do? And you have to be able to communicate your value.
Mm.
The more you can communicate your value, the more people you will have signing on. Otherwise, to those head teachers, do you know how many emails they have? Ton. Like, like this is why whenever I meet people who are in the industry, I don't go, like you meet some people, they meet like a celebrity, they meet somebody who's further, and they're like, oh yeah, like, oh, can you help me? Can you? I'm like at that level, you probably have like a ton of people who are saying, help me, help me, help me, help me, help me. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, what makes me stand out? Like, I don't need you to help me. I'd love for it, but I don't need you to help me. Like, I know, like, nobody can save me from hard work. And so when I see everyone going, "And help me, help me, help me, help me," that's when I choose to step back. I'm like, okay, this is a competition. And how I stand out is by being uniquely me. So when I see everybody going this direction, I'll go the other direction and I'll stand out more. And I'll be, I'll get ahead because I stand out, because I'm doing different to what everyone else is doing.
Mm.
And so you have to be aware of what other people are doing. You have to be aware of the technologies that are out. You have to be aware of the strategies that your competition is using. Like if all the football players are training every day and you want to compete as a football player, but you haven't even made yourself aware of what other people are doing, and you're training once a week, once a month, thinking you're going to make it, you're not going to make it.
Mm.
So you have to be aware of what other people are doing, but you can't get sucked into that. The more aware you are of what other people are doing, the more you should be like, use that information and do it in your way. Use that information to highlight your uniqueness. But if you're unaware, you can't make your uniqueness shine. If that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But then here's
Um,
the next question, and you can tell me what you're going to say as well. Here's the next question though. We spend a lot of time talking about, most people experience more failures than we do successes,
mhm. Yeah.
right? But the question is, okay, you do that, but then let's say you succeed. Okay, for example, in your case, you want 30 people after school club. or you want 30 people to attend week by
Hmm.
week during the holidays, then you want to be in schools. Let's say you achieve that. What then? Success, failure is so common that we've kind of figured out how to deal with that. But success kind of is, especially for something we've worked really hard. It's like you trained hard for 9 months, for years and years and years. Now you've got an Olympic gold medal. Like, all right, what do you do
Hmm.
next? Because before, it's the gold medal that you need. I want to get gold. Now you've got it. So what then happens sometimes is from succeeding, you can then have an actual dip. Or how
Yeah.
my mentor used to say, Dr. Miles Monroe used to say, the greatest enemy of progress is your last success. The greatest enemy of progress
Mm.
is your last success. So you tell me you've got 30 people, and then what?
It's just I. You mentioned before that you said this, and I completely agree with it. And it was, you asked me this question of like how successful do you want to be,
Mhm.
and you said I would like to be as successful as I could possibly be.
Correct.
Um, so that's my answer. It's just m- my goal could be having 30 children from
Mhm.
September, but
Mhm.
that doesn't mean is my end goal.
Right.
Um, and I feel like that's the difference.
Mhm.
If you have, I mean, an end goal, you never know what can happen and when can can happen in your life. So having an end goal is like um, putting a limit to your capabilities and your skills. So if you're able to reach the goal that you have, you just need to continue of like dreaming a little bit higher, challenging you a little bit more, and developing your skills.
Mhm. For sure. For sure. I think that's a challenge because sometimes your end, quote unquote end goal is so far
Hmm.
and so big
Yeah.
that that becomes the focus.
Hmm.
So for example, some people they want to be an airline pilot. Come
Mm.
across them all the time. I'm in the aviation community.
Yeah.
And there's just so many exams, so many tests, so many endorsements on your license. So, like these different licenses you have to get, the different ratings you have to get, and the amount of money you have to spend is going to take years. It could take you more than 10 years. It could, depending on obviously your like economic background. And it's just so far away
Mm.
that you can't really think beyond that. Like
Yeah.
most of us, like most people don't have a 5-year plan,
Yeah.
right? It's just so far to think about. And it's just like, okay, I just know I want to be an airline pilot. Cool. I know I just want to win this like Olympic gold medal. I want my name to go down as an, gold medal winning Olympian. I just want to get that job. If I could only get that job, I wanted to become this. I want to become this. I want to be a sports therapist. I want to be whatever it is. And it seems so hard so far, but then one day you get to it.
Mm.
And people have experienced dips. You train to climb this mountain for years. And then finally you climb that mountain and you get to the
Mm.
top. And then it's the come down. I remember when I was a kid, I don't know if you ever experienced this, but I used to love those weekends where I would have a friend come and stay over, like Friday, Saturday, and then they would go back home on Sunday.
Hmm.
oh, bless me. Um, or I'd go stay over at their house. And I remember the saddest time was just when they left.
Hmm.
Like, it's been so good to get here, but
Hmm.
now it's just gone. And I never really thought about, oh, when they leave. Do you know what I mean? I was just thought, oh, it's so good to have them here. Like, it's so cool. Like, oh, we can play, we could do that. Boom, now they're gone. And a lot of people actually have a dip there. And that's why, I'm saying bouncing back from success. Because sometimes we succeed, but depending on, what we have happening next,
Mm.
we can then end up having a massive dip. And the funny thing is, I have big dreams, as you know, and you've helped to develop those big dreams into bigger dreams. But I experienced that as well.
Mm.
Like, I wanted to go first solo for my 30th birthday. I
Mm.
went first solo a couple of days after my 30th birthday. Then there was just this moment of like, oh man, like, can I make it to the next one, to the next
Mm.
goal? Like, oh, like I was so focused and pushing towards the first solo, and I made it. I raised money. I did a fundraiser, raised £1,200, put up another £500-600 of my own, which I didn't know where I got it from, how I even managed to make that happen. Pushed, did more lessons than I've ever done, back to back to back. Did my first solo, despite the fact that that week was incredibly challenging. But having that goal kept me focused, and then I did my first solo, and then it's like, pushed, got the scholarship, got my license, my private license, and then I was just like, okay. It's kind of like people, like how people can struggle to handle compliments.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's easy if I tell you, oh, you're ugly, oh, you're crap. Like, everyone knows how to respond to that. It's like, be annoyed,
We used to
ignore
that. Yeah.
them. Yeah,
Hmm.
be annoyed, ignore them, or fire back. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know
Mm.
what to do. But if somebody goes, do you know what? Like, you actually changing my life, or do you know what? Actually, you look amazing. Like, it's just like, I don't know what to do with it. Ooh.
This is.
I know, right? Shut up. Some people actually say that. Have you ever complimented someone and they told you to shut up?
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I promise.
Exactly. Because, like, we think about bouncing back from defeat so much, but we never think about how to bounce back from succeeding. Because it
Mm.
just seems so far ahead that we never actually think, okay, if I succeed with that, what do I do with that success?
Mm.
And so people want to be airline pilots, and they become airline pilots. And sometimes that's then when it starts to go down for them, because
Mm.
you always dreamt of becoming an airline pilot, but you didn't think about what you would do with that.
Yeah. It's a. It's. I see it in a way of like, um, be careful what you wish,
Right.
because
Right.
am I become a reality?
Right.
Uh, if you, I do remember, one of my big goals was to become a professional football player.
Right.
And to become a professional football player, you don't need to play a Premier League. You don't need to play at Man City. There are like different leagues as
Y-
well. You just need
Correct.
a professional
Contract.
contract.
Correct.
So that was one of my main goals. I said, I just want a professional contract and be in a professional club. Um, but then I remember signing the contract for the first time, and like after 5 minutes, I was still the same person. I was still in the same situation pretty much. I just had a professional contract. I still had to train every day, and develop my skills every day, analyze my games, and focusing on how to improve. And it was a strange feeling of like, but I wanted this professional contract for so long, and I don't feel like anything has changed. and in a way, it was like I wanted this for so long, and I don't see any changing. And
There's no angels that came out.
no, nothing.
Muhammad,
Yeah,
Muhammad, well done. Whoa,
yeah.
like this crown coming down from heaven and
I had,
nothing. It's
I
the
had,
same with a graduation. Like you have the graduation, you throw your hat, and you're like, the next day you're
yeah.
like,
Pick up your hat,
same.
go on, off you go. And after, believe it or not, after the professional contract, I had no Lamborghini, I had no Rolex,
Nope,
nothing like that.
nope. Hey, bro, after getting my license, I'm still waiting for all the women to be rushing towards me. I'm still waiting for the cues of women. It's just like, D, he's a pilot. But yeah, go on,
Um,
bro.
so yeah, it's just like um, we. I don't know if like we romanticize success in a way of like we picture things of like, oh, when I have my professional contract, everything will be so different. Or when I become a pilot, everything will be much easier. I will have more money. I could buy my own airplane maybe. But at the end, it's not, maybe it's not as good as we thought it was, or we make the situation 10 times better than how it actually is. That we live in a clown somehow, which it can be good for like motivation and stuff, but um, it can be difficult to from there, for what you wish for so long, bounce back and keep performing, like you said.
Yeah, man. And we experience this in many different facets of life. Like, it's incredible for me, but for example, relationships. It's like, oh, yeah, 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 get married, get married. Oh, then a couple of years after the marriage, it's like divorce. It's like, whoa, okay. And it's like we experience this high point, because, and this is why I say to people, sometimes people want the wedding more than they want the marriage,
Mm,
and this is a challenge, especially for females. Um, it's like, yeah, like, I can't wait to get married, not to be married. I can't wait to get married. The
mm,
getting married is the wedding part. The being married is the rest of your life, arguing, figuring stuff out, changing the way you do things, trying to make things work for both of you. That's the marriage. And so yeah, it's a challenge that we face in so many different ways. It's like, oh, I want the job. Okay, you got the job, and now you're back to being depressed as just as you were in the other job. You're back to
mm,
complaining about your bosses in the same way you complained about your bosses in the last job, right?
mm,
And this is why things like what we do with the dreams workshop is so important, because you realize that actually every this is something I realized a few like years ago, which actually surprised me. But every step is a destination. Every step is an end goal, and every end goal is just a step in the journey,
mm,
right? Every step of the journey is an end goal, and every end goal is just another step in the journey.
mm,
And so, like you said, you have to look beyond that. You have to look beyond that and say to yourself, okay, so, for me, it's like, okay, now I've got my license. Okay, great. Like, all right. But it's what I want to do with that. I knew I wanted to help people who want to become pilots. So then, like, I found a lot of fulfillment in now using my license to actually fly with people who've never been in a small plane before,
mm,
to actually fly with student pilots, who might be going through a challenging time, and actually show them that it's possible for you to achieve your dreams.
mm,
So that's brought a lot of meaning. And it's not necessarily the license itself, but rather what I can do with the license, because I've kind of had goals beyond the license.
mm,
Um, And so, like, I know exactly what I want to do. So if I end up in an airline, like, that's not going to define me. It's not going to define me because it's like, yeah, all right, I'm in an airline, but really, I want to own an airline. So that's going to affect how I treat people, how I work with
Mm.
people, what things I focus on. Because the grind is forever. There is no end. You know, as long as you're alive, you have potential. Like the moment you've run out of potential, like you've run out of life. So for as long as you're alive, you've got potential, and you know it's important to keep dreaming because, and keep manifesting your uniqueness. You know, so yeah, I think like there's this guy. Have you ever seen the movie Free Solo?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Oh, I'm
That
so
guy is
glad you've
crazy.
watched that. I'm so. When did you watch it?
Ages ago, but it's
Eh,
just a really good movie.
I'm
That guy
glad
is
you've watched
crazy.
it because I reference it all the time because that's the one I watch and I saw him living out of his van and I
Wow.
was like, oh, okay, I guess it's possible. You don't have to live in a house. All right, cool. Maybe I
It's
can be
just
that and put money towards training.
it's just crazy.
So share a
Like
little bit
into
about Free Solo really quickly, just to bring context, please.
he's a guy that climbs without any assistant, any rope or anything.
Yeah,
And and what I go it's just crazy. Like I would never imagine someone capable to do that and with that mentality.
correct.
And in a way of like they they used to say that he had no fear and that is
Uh,
why he was capable to do that stuff.
yeah, 3,000 feet he climbed in Free Solo, 3,000 feet with
It's
no
just
rope.
crazy when you think
With
about
no
it.
rope. Some bits is literally holding on with his fingertips and the tip of his toes, and that's what's keeping him alive.
Yeah.
And this guy's still climbing, right? Um, but here's the thing: he worked on that project for I think it was like a couple of years because he
Hmm.
tried it, then like stopped on the climb because it wasn't going right, and he came back the next year, and so that was his multi-year project. But then
Hmm.
at the end of the documentary Free Solo, which is amazing, um, he does climb all the way to the top. And then after he's finished climbing, like his friends say to him, okay, so what are you going to do now? And he's like, well, I'll do some hangboarding. And literally, he goes back into training.
Yeah. Yeah, true.
Like he
Yeah.
finishes. So the hangboard is like this board where it's got like holes on it, and you can like because obviously people who climb they have to have really strong like digits because literally
Hmm.
sometimes you're holding your whole body up with just a couple of fingers, and
Yeah.
so they practice that in like different holds just to strengthen it, and they just hang on there. And he had it on the side of his van on the inside, so he could open the van door on the side, have the hangboard there, and he would just hang off it. And after he's finished achieving this amazing goal that he had dreamt of, thought about for so many years of his life, trained for years to do it, the first thing he did after that, achieving that big goal, is get back to work.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's how you bounce back
Crazy.
from success is get back to work. Eric Thomas talks about this guy. I don't know who he is, but he was one of the, you know, in the NFL and he won the Super Bowl with his team, right? And he was in a commercial afterwards. And he said, this guy from the Super Bowl who won it was like, okay, I won the Super Bowl. I can rest now. All right. And then he went back, started doing bench press. It's like, that's all I needed. Just a few seconds of rest. That's it. Back to work. All right. And I think that's how you bounce back from success. Is you achieve that goal, get right back to work. Right. Because the top of one mountain is just the bottom of the next mountain.
Huh.
You haven't peaked yet. You haven't reached the limits of your potential yet. There is more inside of you. Like Les Brown says, you have greatness on the inside of you. You can do more than you can ever begin to imagine. And it's only when you apply yourself that you can truly start to convince yourself that you do have greatness in you. As you see yourself achieve things that you're like, wait, what? Like 10 years ago, I never would have imagined that I could do this. And now I'm doing it.
Mm.
It's only in doing that you actually convince yourself, but you do have greatness on the inside, and you do have the potential. And never let success let it stop you from maximizing your potential. At least that's what I tell myself.
Amazing. Amazing. Good quotes over there, uh, Mr. D. And I wanted to mention before that in the Free Solo movie, um, so even someone that could presume of not having fear, um, didn't just go with no plan, or like, I'm just gonna do it
Correct.
because
Correct.
I'm lucky that my brain, because they scan his brain, and they could see that his level of fear was really low, was
Correct.
really low. So even someone like that with no fear, pretty much, he didn't just go and did this project out of nowhere. He had to like analyze every single step, the routes, being warm up, even the day that everything was planned to do the project. I think he sprained his ankle or something, and he couldn't do it on that day. So he had to postpone. He was able to walk, but he wasn't 100%. Um, so the level of preparation that you need to have in this case for this guy Free Solo, was just amazing. And a fun fact is that the day that he was doing the Free Solo, I don't know if you remember, it was a guy on a mountain with a
Yeah.
with a costume.
Yeah. A unicorn. He had a unicorn onesie.
And then those two camping up there because they were I don't know, sleeping over or something. And you see the Free Solo guy walking around. Good morning.
Yeah. 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 It was mad. But do you know what? You just triggered a memory, right? Because
Hmm.
I had never really thought about analyzing to that detail until I watched Free Solo, and he was like
Mm.
analyzing, oh, and his friend, another legend in the climbing world. What is his name now? Tommy? Is it Tom? I've lost his name now. But anyways, he did some the Dawn Wall, and there's a documentary on that, and that was his multi-year project. But
I've seen it.
um, yeah, it's amazing, and crazy as well. But Tommy kind of, I'm going to call him Tommy. I think that's his name, if I remember correctly. Tommy kind
Are you
of
friends?
joked to Alex, who's the Free Solo guy, Alex Honnold. Jokes like, "Oh, what's in your diary? Is it like, oh, I miss my mom and blah blah?" And he was like, "No, that's not what's in my diary." He's like, "In my diary, it's like, oh, arms were too tight, need to grip with my thumb better, da 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 da, da," and all of that. And obviously, as I always quote, that inspired me to live in my car to save money for flying. But at the same time, it also gave me the idea of getting this book,
Mm.
which I have talked about a bit, which has almost every flight that I've done is in this book. And that's the like inspiration I had for the analysis I do of myself. So I've got like, my first landing in a PA-28 ever, good general handling, general flying. My instructor is evil because of what he did. Like he did like a nice little trick on me that was actually quite funny on one of my lessons. But yeah, my takeoff was smooth, my landing not so smooth. I kept on forgetting this thing, I kept forgetting that thing. Top tips, make sure you remember this for next time. That's where I got the idea from Alex Honnold. So I have almost every flight I've done, I evaluate that even till now. I evaluate my takeoff, my landing, how I dealt with my passengers, where I could improve. So yeah, I love that you picked that up from Free Solo, because that's something that actually has impacted me as well.
Hmm.
So yeah,
And like I
man.
said before, we never actually the same person 100%. You know,
Right.
the way we analyze things or the way we see things would never be the same. I would not treat the future pilot when he was 5 years old the same as I would treat you now.
I'd hope not.
Like explain you things or giving you advice.
Hey, I was a
And
smart kid, you know. But go on. Not necessarily school. Do you know what? I had a flashback recently. I think because in Africa, what happens is you don't just automatically move from one year to the next. Like if you do really bad one year, you stay in that same year.
no way.
And younger people come and you're now in the same class as younger people. If I remember correctly, that actually happened to me. I actually repeated one year. I think it was the fourth year or third year that I repeated. And that
It
came
was a
back to me
surprise.
recently. I was like, damn. Yeah, so yeah, I
Mhm.
was a smart kid, but not necessarily smart in school ways.
um,
But yeah,
so yeah.
people, are different. They evolve. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, man. Um, for sure, for sure. But I do love the quote, never let who you are today stop you from embracing what you could become.
Hmm.
Because the truth is, I might be different to you, but there is a higher so I might not necessarily to do it how you do it, but there's a higher and better version of myself that I need to embrace and let go of these version. The way I plan now, the way I think now, the way
Hmm.
I do my finances now is not adequate. It's not good enough for where I'm trying to get to. Otherwise, I would already be there.
Hmm.
Like if the way you communicate, the experience you had, the skills, the level of skills that you have, if they were enough, you would already have achieved those goals. The
Yeah.
reason why you haven't achieved those goals is because you are not all you could be. You don't need to
Hmm.
be like somebody else, but you do need to lose what you are now for what you could be.
Hmm.
You do need to break out like a butterfly, like a caterpillar transforming into a butterfly. You need to keep like a snake shedding your old skin off. You keep transforming, you know. And so it's important because I see people hold on to like, this is how I am, this is who, like, it's like, dude, well, if you stay the same person, you're going to keep getting the same results.
Hmm.
But if you want to get better results, you got to let go of who you are for who you could be. It won't be the same as other people, but it will be a better version of you. So I love what you're saying, bro. Yeah, man, I hope everyone has enjoyed the conversation. It's definitely been a conversation that's taken us into different areas, and I've really enjoyed that. If you haven't seen the clips on Instagram, it's D1 mentality or D1M underscore podcast.
D1M.
D1M
D1M.
underscore podcast on Instagram, and you've been doing a great job of posting some of the clips. So they're little bite-sized bits from these podcasts, which is amazing to have. So thank you for that. Follow us on Instagram, follow Steady Athlete on Instagram, follow Future Pilot 901 on Instagram. For more content. But yeah, please do drop your thoughts in the comment section below. You don't know who you could be helping, and if nothing else, you are at least solidifying the information in your own head by having to
Hmm.
communicate to other people. So please do share your ideas, your thoughts, particularly if you didn't agree with something or didn't like something. Always love hearing those. All right. So yeah, having said that, I think yeah, I've enjoyed the conversation. And if you are in a position where you've always thought, I want to do something with my life, there's this particular dream or goal I have, well, this is my invitation, our invitation to you to say, don't keep saying one day I will. Take on the day one mentality and say, do you know what? Today is day one of going for that dream. And as you go for it, keep that same energy, keep that same passion, keep that same determination, maintain your day one mentality. This has been episode 2020. My name is D, Future Pilot 901, reminding you to live your dreams.
And a steady athlete to enjoy the process.
Peace out. See you next week.
Mm-hmm.